Hello, everybody. It has been a few minutes, hasn't it? We are, we are new to 2025, the Mindful Gaming Show. We've done this before, and we really got a great audience for it. So we decided to pull in some new professionals and kind of talk on some, again, games, entertainment from movies, anime, theater, music, books, everything you can think of in entertainment, and bring it to you on a positive mental health note, right? So we've got some new people on our crew. So we're going to really kind of introduce ourselves today, since this is our very first 2025 episode. So we're going to go ahead and start with Nova. We're going to put her on the spot.
Oh my goodness, you're just throwing me into the spotlight. All right, I see how it is. Hi, I'm Nova. I'm a digital artist. I do art in the form of digital. That's my medium. I draw a lot of fictional stuff, from original content to fan creations. And I like to discuss how fan content can help you cope with the situations you're facing in your life.
I love it. And your website is voidstars.art, right?
Absolutely.
And it's awesome. You got to check out some of her work as well. And then we have Dee with us. Dee, I'm so happy to have you here on our show, because you've got a lot to offer. If you want to take time, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Dee Roberts. I am a registered mental health counseling intern and a provisional ATR, which is a registered art therapist. I have a private practice, and I work for a group practice in doing mental health counseling. I am a lifelong geek and tabletop gamer primarily. So video games are a new exploration for me. I am here to bring some of the mental health concerns and tips and things like that to the Mindful Gaming Show.
I love it. And your website is Rara Avis Therapeutics, right? So,
.com. Yep.
Yeah, .com. Check her website out, because I'll tell you what, Dee is the first one I would go to if I had to talk geek stuff and mental health. Honestly, it just we just hit it off really good when we first met anyway. So,
oh yeah.
So I'm so glad that you're here with us, Dee. And then Tel, you were here with us last year. So, but for those who are just joining us, go ahead.
That's it. My name is Robert, and you'll see my game tag is Telthezard, so I go by that for the show today. And I am a musician and a music educator, and some of the games that I enjoy playing is basically like cozy games, anything ranging from Animal Crossing or any of the clones available. And just in general, I enjoy working with youngsters, also passionate about art, ranging from visual art to performing arts. And yeah, that's my thing. And I'm all the way from South Africa if you're dialing in from anywhere else in the world.
Anywhere else in the world. South Africa is awesome, only because Tel is there. We're just going to say that. And if you didn't get a chance to check out Tel's music, he's got a Facebook and an Instagram. I'm telling you, I watched your performance. I think it was about a week or two ago, and it was just phenomenal. I got chills. It was really, really good. You are a great musician and a wonderful educator to bring that geek stuff to the world. So I'm really glad that you're here again with us. And obviously, I am Kat. Most of you know me as Kat, but I'm going by Rexa, because that is the character that I have had for 30 years, pretty much. And I really can relate more to along the lines of Rexa, who is, she's more of the, fighter for, I would like to say, the underdog, right? And is very compassionate. I like to call her, she is more chaotic neutral, if those of you who are familiar with that term. And it's not, it's one of those terms that are pretty popular with the tabletop role-playing games as well. I'm like Dee, I started with tabletop, and then I moved into video games, and I do both. So both of them are really kind of my thing, and I have to agree, it really helped me therapeutically, Dee, growing up too, is the gaming aspect and the community aspect of games.
Yeah.
As well, really helped me. And I really think that playing the video games, playing tabletop games, playing any type of games really is very helpful for a lot of people. So mindful gaming really focuses on the entertainment aspect and how it can benefit you on a more positive note. And it's also for parents who are interested in finding out more along the lines of, what is my child playing? Is this something I should be concerned about? What are the safety measures? Now that we've moved a lot of online or tabletop games to online as well, are they talking to people they shouldn't be? Some of the safety aspects, and how does this help them educationally as well as mentally? So we are going to dive right in, because this episode, we took a month and we played a game called The Sims 4. Now, I know some of you are laughing because The Sims 4 has been out for a little while, but we really wanted to take some time to really indulge ourselves in this game and see how this game reflected our real life selves. Okay, so we have a lot to discuss today, from the personalities, from the careers, from the fantasy aspect, reality aspect, fashion, right? Some of the stuff, the simulation gameplay. What is it good? Is it bad? What did we think of it? So if you have played this game before, or if you played any other The Sims, like, because The Sims 3, you've got Sims Online. They don't do Sims Online anymore. I think Max has closed the Sims Online one. But if you've played any of them, chime in. We are on live chat right now. Go to Twitch, go to YouTube, go to Facebook. Anybody we're everywhere. If you want to chime in, tell us what you thought about The Sims, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what career you took. If your character ended up dying, was it something stupid that you did? Did you accidentally, fall off a cliff? Did you have an affair with the Grim Reaper? I want to know, things like that. So we're going to dive in. And the first thing I want to know from everybody here is, let's dive into the character creations. So we're going to talk about the characters that we made. Were they exactly like you? Were they not like you? Did you make it totally opposite of what you thought, that you would never dress like? So just let's kind of dive into that a little bit. Who wants to go?
Can I jump in? I'll be forward. With my character creation in general, I tend to create the character closest to what I look like, maybe a little bit enhanced. You'll always add a bit of extra muscle or lean type of character. But this time around, I completely went opposite. And it was the weirdest experience, because I started off creating, the skill set of, being an artist, musician type of thing. And the character ended up enjoying cleaning and reading and things that wouldn't necessarily be my type of character. And it was actually so weird, having this character, that would rather clean the house themselves than have someone come in and do all the dishes or whatever. And I find myself, I'm an extrovert and I enjoy people. And I found that I was so irritated when people will knock on the door to come and talk. I was like, can I just press them out?
I'm cleaning.
That's hilarious.
So that was very strange and weird for the first time. Yeah.
So your character was totally not what you wanted your character to be. What about looks?
It actually had a ponytail and almost like a Elvis style sideburns, and but definitely the traits that I chose, I don't know, somehow it developed into other things, like the I think the career was someone that had to wake up early and cook. So to like really, it's completely opposite. I mean, I would rather go get takeout if it was my own choice than have to sit for
What you
hours.
say? You want rather do takeout?
Yeah.
Wouldn't most
Yeah.
of us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not you. Definitely not you. But did you enjoy it?
Definitely. I think in the past I've played Sims before, but and then you kind of wreck the whole system. You kind of get involved with different people, and then the one person jumps into the house, and then you try to sneak out the other way around or something. So this time around it was very conservative, I would say.
Mhm.
I mean, like I said offline, I had a video clip, but it was very boring. It was just basically my character reading and
Yeah.
catching up on upskilling in basically in the art of cooking. So that was something quite strange. But like I say, in general, when I do character creation, I try to I even give it my name and things. So it's kind of the situation where I would almost have a copy of myself, and obviously because it's like this virtual reality type of thing, and in the sense of see how quickly I can progress in life compared to
Mhm.
what I was achieving in real life. But this time around, it was slightly different.
Wow. And D or Nova, did you have the same experience or?
I made my character slightly different from me physically. Had a much more bohemian look to her, and dressed in things that like bared the shoulders and things like that, which
Mhm.
I generally don't do.
Right.
She dressed not revealingly, but it
Mhm.
was one of those that she wore like a jumpsuit that she just wore without a t-shirt, and I would,
Ah.
me in my overalls,
Right. Right. And
and
you're
my
more
overalls,
modest.
a little more modest, and that
Mhm.
was sort of so I tried to make her a little more different from me, but then I chose a career that I would probably do, which was writer,
Mhm.
and then she got a job as an editing assistant or an author's assistant
Right.
type of thing, a part-time job. And it was I found the character uh interesting, physically interesting, but uh the character creation is there's so many options
Yeah.
that you kind of get overwhelmed a little
Mhm.
bit, and especially if you have any of the packs or any of the expansions, you're just inundated with choices, and you're kind of like, what do I choose?
Right.
What do I do? So I kept her really kind of basic, other than like some really creative hair, and
Mhm.
um that was about it. I was going to get the goth expansion pack,
Right. Right.
but because I was like, who could resist that?
I know
As
I
a
couldn't.
gamer geek girl, how can I resist that? But it was I just found it the character creation to be one of the more interesting parts
Right.
of the game.
Mhm.
Because like I said, you have so many choices that you can make just about anybody you want.
Right. Right. And when you created your character, did you just do, because they actually have in there, if you haven't played The Sims before, they have a random, um, you can just roll the dice and you randomly get a character. Did you ever consider doing the random one, or did you literally like want to create your own?
I considered doing the random one, but I was like, what if I end up with something that is so off the wall that I have to change everything anyway? So
Right.
that's why I ended up I considered it, but at the same time, it was a brief consideration. It was
Right.
not anything really, because I like the personalization, because you can
Right.
really make it personal all the way down to muscle tone and the skin tones, the hair colors, the eye colors. I mean, you can make it so personalized
Right.
that you really start to connect with that character.
Right.
And you really start to feel like, hey, this character is mine, and this character is in a way me.
Right.
And then that's a way to get more engagement out of the game,
I
is for
agree.
that personalization.
Absolutely. Nova, did you feel the same way, that you have to personalize? You can't just do the random?
Yes. When it comes to like games like this where you get to sort of like create your own characters, as like a creative who loves creating characters, I wanted full control over making my characters as detailed as possible. So I actually didn't create just one. I got a little ambitious and made 3. But one I did is a character based on my persona, which is basically like a character that's sort of like meant to represent you, but not you like parallel, like exactly, but sort of like an idealized version of you, maybe with like traits and features that you want or that you have or that you like about yourself. But I have my character, Ida, and I kind of just like used my character as sort of like a placeholder for me. So my character wasn't like exactly like me, because I personally don't like making characters that look like me in games. When I play games, I play them to escape, and to sort of like have something new. I mean, in my eyes, I love fiction. If I wanted something to sort of like be like my life, I would have it in my life. Like I would integrate it into my life already, or just embrace my life as is.
Right.
Like it's sort of like picking up a book and like wanting to read about yourself, I guess. And I'm like, that personally, that wouldn't really interest me. Not that my life isn't interesting. Trust me, I have quite the stories to tell, but it's just kind of like fiction and games are my like escape to another realm for things that I wouldn't have in my real life. So I just kind of wanted that sort of like to be a little different. So yeah.
I agree with all of you. I think when I created my characters, I have all the expansions, and I think I download the expansions more if I see that there's different customizations that I can make, like new clothes, new hair, new, things like that. And that's why I download most of the expansions, because of the fact that I'm a creator as well. So I like to create different things. And I'm right there with you, Dee. I actually like creating the vampires. So the only thing I don't like the vampires is that they don't eat, and I like to cook. And we'll get into that later on in the show when we're talking about cooking. But honestly, I like to cook, and I like to see if my character enjoys the food that I've tasted. But the vampires are like, yeah, I don't need to eat. I'm just gonna go out and bite another Sim's neck, So, so
ways to socialize your
vampire
Sim.
But but the thing is, like, if you have the vampire expansion, in order to get that next meal, you've got to befriend some people. And I'm not a very good person to go out and just talk to people just so I can eat. So I do it. I'm absolutely horrible at the socialization aspect in the game too. So that makes it really hard for a vampire or vampiress to get her next meal. But it's fun. So I take something that's totally different than how I am, and but it is a fantasy, right? I like to create that character that's a fantasy, because for me, in my state of mind, I love playing a vampire because It's mysterious,
Mhm.
it's dark, you live longer, right? You still have your youthful aspect. People fear you but respect you. And I think that's a big part of me is those are fantasies that I would love to integrate for myself that I know would never happen, but those are still fantasies that I would like. So I create a character that is based off of what I would really like. Now, moving when we're talking about characters, and this is going to be a question for all of you, and as far as the audience as well. When you create characters, do you make them beautiful? Do you make them better looking than what you think? Because remember, we are hard on ourselves. I may say, "Gosh, I look so fat today," and then Nova may say, "Stop saying that because you're not," right? But we are always harsh on ourselves, and that's where the mentality comes in, where we have to stop saying those words to ourselves. But when we get in a game and we create a character, we're still looking at that perfection. We always look for that perfection in a fantasy character. Are you, or anybody on this panel or in our audience, are you the type that I don't care what the character looks like, I'm more worried about the skills? Or are you the type that says, no, I want to roll a d20 and get the highest charisma that I possibly can? Right? So what do you guys think?
Can I start us off actually? Because when I had mentioned I made 3 characters, right? And so 2 of them are based off of 2 of my favorite fictional characters. Because everyone knows me, I love fiction and I love my fictional characters. And in my game, they technically don't have a canon or like official appearance, like look to them. So like the way that the characters look to the fans is totally up for fan interpretation. So fans can say, oh, this character has curly hair, or oh, this character has straight hair, and it could be whatever anybody wants it to be. So it could be curly hair, it could be straight hair, they could be tan, they could be dark, they could be pale. So my personal interpretations of characters, not just like fictional characters, but not just official canon characters, but like my own characters, I tend to have a very different grasp of like aesthetic beauty than a lot of other people, and I feel like a lot of it is because of just being an artist. I tend to not like perceive like what's the word, like stereotypical beauty standards the same as others. So for me, like I think certain traits on people are like super stunning, but like society may say, oh no, that's not really ideal, or like that's not really that great. But like in my head, I'm like, oh no, I picture this character to have this specific trait or this specific feature. And so I'll like integrate it into my characters. And while other people might not really see it as, stereotypically beautiful or attractive or like conventionally attractive, to me, I'm like, well, to me, like, I think it's beautiful because that's just human. And, humans being different is just beautiful to me.
It's good to you.
So, I mean,
good point.
I would say, in a way, I do tend to make my characters beautiful, but in like my own personal aspect, because beautiful's sort of subjective. To others, they might disagree, but to me, I think they're beautiful with the mindset that I see it from. But yeah,
good point.
Yeah, my characters, from my fiction writing to my game characters, they always have scars or tattoos or something that sets them apart, that that societally would be considered unattractive.
right.
But I always I just realized this listening to Nova. I always make my characters with some beauty flaw,
Right.
that is, considered by society to be a flaw or something like that.
Mhm.
Like one of my characters I built was in a Napoleonic War world, and women were supposed to have flawless skin, and she
Right.
got freckles all across her shoulders.
I love freckles. Oh. Yeah, but I
She's
can see that.
got bright orange hair and
Mhm.
freckles all across her face and all across her shoulders.
Gotcha.
And I did the same with my Sims character. I made her have she's got tattoo sleeves,
Okay.
I love
you
that.
know, all the way up, and she wears, like I said, revealing tops,
Mhm.
so you can see those tattoos when she goes out
Right.
and that sort of thing. So, but I just realized, like I said, that I almost always make my characters have some sort of flaw
Right.
that makes them conventionally less attractive.
Right.
Um,
Right.
So, you know, but to me, like Nova, it makes my characters beautiful because they are different.
Right.
Right. Right. Those are really good points. And
Can I,
tell you
before
too? Yeah.
we continue, I actually
Yeah.
do want to add something.
Yeah.
On the topic of like us sort of like making our characters and like the beauty of it and stuff, I also wanted to mention that like when we're creating ourselves, because I know a lot of us here we're sort of like creating a version of ourselves. I don't know how many of you guys did this, but I always seem to subconsciously do this. But even for the features that I don't really like about myself, despite sort of making an idealized version of myself, I tend to try and keep the features of myself that I'm not super fond of.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the fact that like we tend to be harsh on ourselves and like the certain like features on ourselves that we don't really like. But when it comes to like making ourselves, I feel like if I try and run away from the features of myself by erasing them when I'm trying to make an idealized version of myself, I feel like that's so mean to me. Like I want to be able to embrace myself and my features and the parts of me that I might not perfectly like, but I still want to be able to, you know, recognize them in me and the way that I'm physically presented. So I kind of want to like capture that in my character. So I tend to leave even my own flaws in quotes, or at least insecurities in when I'm representing myself through a character. I don't know how many of you guys did that when creating yourself in any sort of game, but
that's deep. That's deep.
It's the artist in me. I have to be wherever there is beauty.
Yeah. No, it's
wow.
I'm thinking with regards to the character creation in Sims, it's I tend to always create like a strong character in the sense of like looking, if you had to like physically look at the character, I don't know if it's like subconsciously thinking that when you have like strong features, big shoulders, you know, big muscles type of thing, then it looks like the character will be more successful or will have some unfair advantage just because of looks or something like that.
Right. Right.
But I tend to go for the almost like the men's health cover model type of thing. So and then eventually
he wants the Sims pretty privilege.
that's it. Something like that. But it's great. It's strange how a person thinks, because I was also thinking what Dee said, you know, like embedding a little flaw or something, you know, because often people say that beauty is in the flaw. But also the character I created like a little tattoo on the shoulder. It was like a little songbird type of thing. And, you know, as I was doing the character creation, I thought, you know, it's going to be a musician, so maybe I'll give it a name that has something to do with this tattoo or something. I don't know. And it eventually the tattoo stayed, but the skill set was completely different. So, but it was it was quite cool. So he ended up looking more like a surfer type of person, more like physically well built, long hair, a bit of a like I said, the sideburns going there, blue eyes. I don't know. I tend to always, even if it's like fictional characters, tend to go for almost like aquamarine type of eyes, because I don't know, for some reason it feels, if you look at someone with blue eyes, it's like they stare right into your soul.
Especially if you're
Sounds
playing
like
a
what I say all
vampire.
the time.
Well, pale eyes do have a tendency to just kind of stare into you.
Yeah.
Right.
I can stare. I can empty stare with my big brown eyes.
That's the perfect quality for those who are neurodivergent, sweetheart. Like we're just oh no, I'm not staring at you. I was just out of my mind. I was just zoned out. That's what Nova says a lot. I was just zoned out.
Do you tend to like create like weird features or something that's like really like weird? Because I was thinking, I used to work at a takeaway outlet years ago, and someone had like red contact lenses, and it was so weird. I couldn't look at the person. It was like I had to, for some reason, it felt like this
said he
person was
couldn't
other
look at them.
possessed. Yeah, I
That's kinda
couldn't. It's like I
cool.
couldn't look at these eyes. You know?
I would do that. I'm gonna be honest. I would do that. I'm the kind of person who I love like randomly dressing up and just looking out of place anywhere, just because that's just I love doing that. So I personally, I think I would show up somewhere with like some crazy looking contact lenses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was just the most difficult thing because you know when you speak to someone, you look at them, either look at their nose or mouth or eyes or something, and I just felt like something just pushed my face away. I couldn't look.
Some crazy forces making me unable to look at you right now.
I love it. Yeah, I think character creation is very important. I think that is one of the biggest aspects of a game today, whether it's through tabletop or through video games. The character creation portion can take the longest part of the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially when we play tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons. I think it takes
Oh my
me probably
goodness.
a week to
Wow.
put my character
She'll go in
together.
depth with her character design.
And it's just background lore, everything, hair color down to the smallest little thing. But one more thing before we move on to the next portion of this is I want to make a point that Nova and Dee and Tel did touch up on is that what we consider flaws are our own insecurities. They are not your flaws. You are who you are, and you should be happy and proud of who you are. No matter how you feel, you look, or now this is coming from the inside of yourself. If you feel like, oh, I just don't like my hair today, that change it. Do something with it to make yourself feel good, not to make somebody else feel good. If you really want to up your look or change the color of your hair or change the style of something, or if you want to get a tattoo or if you want to wear something different, go for it. Don't let other people be the judge of you. And if you want to try it out on a sim character and see, make your character and then see what it looks like, to say, hey, hey, that would actually look pretty good on me, or wow, no, I think I changed my mind. I won't do that. But for me, I don't think charisma is that important. I think charisma is also, it brings out who you are in your personality. So, if someone is so sweet and kind and just considerate and loving and caring and a nice person, to me, they're beautiful. It really does rub off on you. So, and then someone who can be a bodybuilder and the most handsome person in the world, if they're just not good in the heart, in the soul, they're completely ugly to me. So, so really be, kind to yourself, create that character that you want and try it out. Like I said, in The Sims. But for me, I try to do high charisma when I'm playing D&D because, and you're going to laugh at me, Dee, but I like to take high charisma in D&D because I don't want to have to work too hard to get what I want.
She said, "Let me take the shortcut."
Like, I'm just like, do I
It's
really
a
have to
cheat
go
code.
through? Do I have to go through 500 questions? Can't I just go, hi?
No, you know what? I get that.
Charisma cheat code.
You'll make
There
an
we
excellent
go.
bard.
This is what Tel meant by Sims pretty privilege.
Pretty
Yeah.
privilege. There we
Exactly.
go. There we go. We did have a question in chat for all of us. So let's see what this question is. Was this Sims for a challenge among the group. So did you guys find any challenge in The Sims 4? And anybody want to start and answer this question from Max?
Oh, I'll
I'll
lead
start.
off.
Okay, yeah, go on ahead. Go ahead, take the reins.
Go for it.
I don't think it was a challenge among us. That we were competing against each other or anything like that, because it seems kind of difficult to compete against each other in a simulation game to me.
Right.
But the biggest challenge I had was staying engaged. Just with the game in general, because maybe it's my particular flavor of neurodivergent, because we come in all flavors.
Yep.
But I just had the hardest time staying engaged because the simulation of going through the day, going to work, coming home, eating, taking a shower, taking a nap, reading a book, it's like, even though I could go to a museum or I could go to this or cooking dinner, it was all so reflective of my life,
Right.
that it gave me such fits trying to stay engaged with the game, because I was like, I'm gonna sit down and play a game that I'm doing the same thing I'm doing in real life.
Right.
And so that was very hard for me. And there were some days where I was like, I need to go play Sims 4. I need to go play Sims 4, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing I'm doing at home, just on a video screen with a different looking avatar.
Right.
So, I needed more fantasy. I needed more detachment from reality to stay engaged. Just finding out that a life simulation game is probably not my forte.
Right.
So that was my biggest challenge, was just staying engaged. But I can totally see how it would be helpful for other people, exercising those social skills, finding out if cooking is an interest of yours. If your sim can do it, well, maybe I can do it too. I don't know. Or if your sim burns the house down, maybe you go, maybe I don't want to try cooking.
I think she's looking at me.
Maybe. You see, your Sims are a little notorious about cooking.
Yes. I'm going to get it right in this life or the next, or in a simulation. I don't know.
She's determined.
So, but I can totally see how it would be helpful for other people, and from a mental health standpoint, you're exercising skills that you might not have. Sorry. That you might not have, that you need to exercise in a safe place. Because that's what games are. They're a safe place,
right,
to exercise skills. For me, it was reflective of my agoraphobia that strikes me sometimes. It was reflective of my social anxiety that strikes me sometimes. It was very reflective of, well, I have nothing else to do. I'm going to go take a nap, because, I had literally I could read, I could cook, I could decorate. But it's only so much decorating you can do without unlimited funds.
Right. Right.
And I was determined not to use cheat codes.
Yeah.
I was trying to be a good gamer. But
I'm the total opposite of that.
Huh?
I said I'm the total opposite of that. I'll do the crazy stuff.
It was reflective of my hesitancy for change, and that sort of thing. It was the character, although it didn't look like me, was so much like me that it was hard to feel motivated to
Yeah.
Right.
play.
Absolutely. I get you. Is that how you were, or?
You really took me on a journey there, because I was like, oh, experiencing that. If you like kind of see, you can either be in a good space in in your working or home environment or something like that, and then when that reflects in a game, that's scary and interesting at the same time. So for instance, if you in a situation where things aren't necessarily going well at work, and you're creating this character and you kind of seeing your life play out in this situation, and you kind of getting that bit of anxiety, I can totally see where that's going from, like where it's coming from. I think with regards to challenges in the game itself, I think to me, like simulation games is kind of that, it gives me that space to have to relax, where it feels like I don't necessarily have to um feel that I have to do intense mental processing or anything to do certain things. Where
Absolutely.
but then it also reminds me of certain things, like when you at home and you doing the little chores and things like that, and then when you go to work, then you kind of fast forward because the time goes past quickly. But now I'm thinking, like, you kind of, it would have been nice if you could actually control the character at work and see how he engages or she engages with the colleagues and things like that. Because now all of a sudden it feels like that one movie where they had like a fast forward button, and eventually the the mechanism would fast forward automatically, and before you know, then the Sim's life is over.
Right.
So that could be
Right.
quite depressing, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And you, Nova, as well?
So sorry, I blanked. What was the question?
Challenges.
Oh, the challenges.
The challenge.
Okay, right. Thank you for reminding me. So I do kind of agree with both of you guys, where I did find that personally, I did kind of have a hard time with being motivated to play. And I know, of course, I'm not the only one who feels this way. I played The Sims a few months back, like maybe like a year ago, actually, with my best friend, and we had characters of ourselves where we would like put our characters in like crazy adventures, and it was fun for like a little bit, and then it just kind of got boring, maybe a little bit repetitive, because again, it's a life simulation, it does simulate life in a way, but also at the same time, it's like I did try to find ways to spice it up. With the way that I play, my gameplay style is very like chaotic. As I said earlier, I like to implement like fantasy and like kind of crazy chaos into my games. So I'll always be like having my characters doing something, like something kind of bizarre. I'll have them maybe talk to someone and then suddenly start a fight with them, or like or like just go up to someone at like a public pool and start like arguing with their kid. Maybe I'll like remove the doors on their house and trap them inside and like start a house fire. I don't know. I'm just I know I'm not the only one who plays this way too, because there are so many people who post about this like gameplay style online, specifically the boyfriends of Sims girls, like girls who love playing The Sims will play in this very like absurd, chaotic sort of like simulation. And I think even though like life simulations aren't really my thing, I kind of like agree with Dee in that regard. It's just hard to play them for me. I can kind of get the appeal, especially if somebody is playing it from a very like chaotic gameplay style, which I guess a lot of Sims players tend to do, where they'll just be doing the most chaotic, absurd thing just to sort of like have a little flair in their simulation.
Right.
And I can get that. I can get behind it. You know, earlier you said something about like having your character hook up with a Grim Reaper. That's something I would totally have my character do. Like, I just love putting my characters in very nonsensical situations that would not at all play out in my real life,
Right.
just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
I feel like it sort of gives that fun, exciting element to the gameplay when you start to feel that, like, that, you know, repetitiveness, or maybe like that boredom, or like the droning feeling of, you know, watching your sim get up, make breakfast, you know, get ready to go to work, fast forward, and then, you know, do the same thing that you do. I like to play that way, but I get it. I guess that was my challenge, is that, like, even though I did add that sort of fun, it just kind of wasn't my thing. Even though, and it's funny because I've played so many different life simulation games before, and I do enjoy them for a little bit. Like, I do tend to hyper focus on them at the beginning when there's stuff that I feel like there is something to achieve. But then when I feel like I've achieved those, I'm just kind of like, okay, what now? You know, maybe that's just me. I'm the kind of person who loves achieving things. So I always try to have something to achieve. But when I feel like there isn't anything further to achieve, except for just like causing more chaos, I feel like it's just kind of pointless.
Absolutely. I have to agree with the three of you. I've been playing The Sims since it first came out, when Maxis first put it out. So I've upgraded the expansions after expansion after expansion. The only reason I continue to keep going back is because I indulge myself in doing things like decorating, or building the homes, or, you know, adding some floral to certain. So I do more of the decorating type portion of it. And I will not lie, I cheat.
I support you. Don't worry.
I support you. Please support my cheating. That's right. No,
support my
I
improper
do
gameplay.
I do this because when I'm, you know, I'm in that state of creating and building, and I want to see, I want to take a living room and just totally redo it. There is limited funds, right? You have that limited fund. So I'm like, well, I want to decorate right now, and I'm not in content creation mode. I'm just, because I do want to be able to click off of that and just play my Sims out. So I just play the regular version, and then I will add in some more funding in order to just kind of decorate things. But I spend majority of my time just doing that, the decorating. And I think that's really what kind of gets me. And it's funny because my husband will ask me, you know, why do you play Dollhouse? And that's what he calls it. He says, why are you continuing to play the Dollhouse? And for me, it's just the decoration. It's not, I can go without the complete simulation of it. It's just the decoration portion of it, the fashion portion of it, and of course the get to work portion of it. So if you don't have the get to work portion, that's the one that you can choose a career and go to work, and then do that in your career. And then you have little quests with your character. When you go to work, it'll tell you, you know, make sure, like if you're a doctor, it'll say like, you need to cure 5 patients, or you need to do an x-ray today, or you need to do whatever. And and then those will give you some reasons to do. And then you'll get little levels that you're leveling up your character and getting promoted. So that kind of gives you a little bit more of a incentive to be like, okay, I want to go to work, or I want to do this. And then you know, that's when you go home and it'll say, you need to read, if you're going to be a writer, you need to read 5 books and then get them published. And then you'll have to do that. And then so it gives you an incentive. Let's take a look at this.
Wap ça va never Die ma Jax, die Mama, die Manda in my touches, beatbox in my coops or a gal who's a purchase. I can't be my tank, in my tank, in my game, no one talking enough, she's enough for Jax. My inner's all need beat on my move. C'est la slew to bitch when they slew. Why I need, why I be, you got room, we got new, we got no proof. Everyone I do, we're my kings and queens in my room, supposed to be. We're my kings and queens in my room, supposed to be.
So I do enjoy the characters where they have to go to work and they can do these things and then do little quests to do it. I did have a bakery one time, and in that bakery you had to bake certain amount of cakes, and which means you had to get your cooking up, of course. And this is why I'm obsessed with cooking, right? Because my bakery failed. I suck at cooking. The reviews I was getting was horrible. Nobody liked my cakes. So anyways, but those are little things that can help bring, a little bit more fantasy and excitement to the Sims. However, these are all expansions, and that's why I agree with the three of you that the standard game itself, I think, is just a dollhouse type version of simulation. You're doing your basic thing, but all the other little things, the expansions can add on to some enjoyment, which is a good thing because, if you have nothing else to do, The Sims 4 is free. You can get it on Steam, the basic game at least. And then when you're ready, or if you feel like you've completely, lost your mind doing the same repetitive thing, you can try some of the different expansions and decorations. I would highly recommend decorating because you can get it into the Sims gallery once you've decorated, and then it can get upvoted by the community. And if it is, and people have downloaded your decorations or your houses or your fashions or whatever, or whoever you've created, you can get little points and prizes from access. So those are really nice little add-ons. And I love the game to a point, but it is right. It's not something that I can play continuously, right? It's like, okay, I have nothing else to do. I'll play that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like The Sims is very similar to a lot of, at least the gameplay of The Sims in like a basic sense. If you just play it the way, you're kind of like expected to, is very similar to sandbox games where it doesn't really have like a specific set end like direction that you're supposed to follow. You're just kind of like put in and you're left to your own devices. You get to choose what you want to do. You get to choose, the goals that you have, and the things that you want to achieve. And in that way, I know a lot of people tend to be pretty harsh on like sandbox games because they're kind of like directionless. And so I can understand why people also just feel kind of bored of The Sims, like generally. And I can also see why, like with both, they have people who will try and do things to sort of spice it up. And it just kind of like reminds me of, the gameplay with sandbox games. And it's, it's kind of up to the player to bring some fun into it. But it's not entirely on the player if the gameplay style isn't their thing.
Right. I completely agree. And I think if you want to try it, it's free on Steam. You can download it. But and if you want to continue to try the different expansions, that's fine. I think the biggest thing you should keep in mind when you're doing this is that look at it from a you don't have to always go into it with a one mindset. So if you want to create something and just do a random one, perfectly fine. Go for it. Nobody's going to judge you. If you're not feeling it, just then create your own character. And I'll tell you what, I did one time create our entire family. I created our entire family. And I said to myself, now we have a family of 5. And I said to myself, I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to get extra money. I'm going to, put everybody in their prospective jobs and see how they go. And I'll tell you what, we were evicted from our house. we had nowhere to go. We lost our jobs. I was like, wow.
What do you mean we?
This simulation stuff is hard. I'm
What
glad
is
it's real
that?
life. I'm going back to real life.
Get me out of this family. I don't want any part of it. I'm doing my job. My simulation
I found
job.
the simulation harder to run my life than I did.
That's crazy.
I did get one tip from my eldest daughter, and she said that to play it like a narrative, like it's a story, and that you're building a story instead of you're reflecting your real life.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And that way you're making it more interesting because you're making your own fiction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good tip.
I think I might go make another character that's completely off the wall and
then do it from there.
try it as a narrative thing and maybe get the get to work package so that I can have a job that, challenges me instead of sitting there reading 5 books and getting them published.
And maybe you can challenge other people by causing them problems and a little bit of chaos.
Chaos.
Add some spice into it.
That's it. You make a good point, Dee. There is a story mode into it as well, where you can, and you're a D&D player, so creating characters and backgrounds are your forte. But you can do that in The Sims. You can create your background, your story. You can connect it with a specific individual or not. You can write out the whole entire thing. You can even download certain families or characters that have full story backgrounds that people have created. So it's really kind of neat that you can create these and then let other people play these characters and go their own way and then add on to your story.
Yeah.
So that's always a nice thing to do.
Yep. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I would love to see how yours could. Yeah, you let me know because I'll download that character. You're like, oh, let me see how I can ruin Dee's day.
I think what Nova also said was
you lately.
Well, you don't want me to take your character and start cooking because I'm.
Don't let her cook.
There's also one part that I could relate to Nova also. I remember the old Sim City, that you can also build up your city type of thing. Because I find if you cheat, then it kind of, then I'm tired. It's like, okay, well, it's over. There's no sense of achievement in the game because I can literally, why do I have to work for money if I can just like increase the simoleons or whatever. But I would tend to build up the city, and then it's like great and everything's going well, and then I'll get bored, and then I'll hit it with a tornado or Godzilla or something, and then kind of break the thing down again and then build it up again. So I totally get that. It's chaotic.
No, but
I was playing with the Thanos mindset.
Yeah,
Thanos.
I see Nova bringing in a kaiju, just this giant monster stomping through the city.
That would
She's
be
taking
exciting.
notes now.
No, exactly. I'm taking notes. Thank you for the idea.
Wow, we are at our end of our stream, but next month I have something in surprise for the whole panel. And I would really like to we're talking about characters and we're talking about character creations and stuff here for the Sims, but we are actually going to next month. I'd like all of us to start thinking about this now, but I'd like everybody to create a D&D character.
Ooh.
So it's going to be from scratch. You've got it, I don't care which edition you want to use. It doesn't matter. But we're going to sit down and show everybody in the audience and ourselves, and some of us who are on this panel who have maybe never played before or never created characters before. All of us are going to create a character. And we're going to really expand on the characters to the point where we're going to let read it and let each of us indulge in your character and your lore and your background. And then we're gonna talk about why we came up with that and what was the meaning and the basis behind that. Okay, we're talking about looks. We're talking about, you know,
Keep
skill
getting me
sets. We're talking
started
about
on
powers.
characters and lore. Prepare for a
So-
Nova stream next time, guys.
Yeah. Are we going to have enough time for this? No, we are just going to start the basics next month of character creation and character sheets, what it involves, and how it actually intertwines with today's current video game role-playing games, and where that came from in the history of Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so I hope you guys have fun this month thinking about that, and how we can really get our audience involved and teach them how to do that, and how that can actually be very therapeutic for you. So we'll let Dee take some more of that next time and talking about therapeutic mindsets from character creation. In the meantime, everybody, I am on vacation next, actually in 48 hours, I'm on vacation.
Oh, lovely.
So we will see you guys next month. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.